Okay, let's start talking about some of the ways that we can affect our workbook or worksheet after we've already entered things into it. First of all, I want to get rid of all this example that I did here. If I just select a single cell and hit delete on my keyboard, it gets rid of that cell. But if I select a group of cells and hit delete, it will actually only get rid of the upper, like it's called the active cell, the white one there. All the rest of them just stay exactly the same. So if I want to get rid of a big group like this, I'm going to just select it all. And I'm going to come up here to where it says clear in my ribbon. It's in the home section of the ribbon. And I'm going to say I want to just clear all. And they're all gone. Okay. Now, another thing that's a very, very common need to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of, well, let's just start with profit. I'm going to say profit for the month. Now, notice my label, profit for the month, does not fit in column F anymore, right? It's spilling over into column G. Now, the truth is that it lives in F, not G. If I select G1 here, even though the word month is in there, I can see from the formula bar that G1 is actually empty. If I select F1, I can see the entire thing. It's just for visual continuity, just to help us. It's just letting it spill over there. The only reason it's letting it spill over is because nothing is in G1. If I were to come to G1 and write the word taxes, you'll see that it no longer shows me all of my label. It's getting cut off by G1. And if I select F1, it's still all there. It's just not showing it to me because there's no room to show it. So the solution is to adjust the width of that column. And you can very easily adjust the width of columns and the height of rows. A couple of ways I can do that. If I just click on the line between the F and the G and drag, you'll see that I can just pull that F as big as I need it to be. So that's one thing I can do. Another thing I can do is just double click on that line. Come here and I click it twice, and it will make it the exact right width for the widest thing in that column. It's kind of an auto fit sort of a feature. So that's for the columns. With the rows, same thing. I can just click and drag, or I can double click to expand the row. Now in this case, I don't actually need it to be that big, so I'm going to get rid of that and change this back to just profit. So that's resizing my columns or my rows. Whoops, didn't mean to save that. Resizing my columns or my rows. Another way that I can sort of automatically resize a row is using what's called text wrap. If I come here, and again, let's just change that to say profit for the month. If I select that cell or that row, and I've got a button here that says text wrap, and I click on that, I can say I want to wrap the text, in which case it'll just make the row automatically tall enough for all the text to fit, wrapping down. Or my other option is actually to shrink the text to fit, and shrinking the text to fit, whoops, unwrap it there, we'll just adjust the font size so that it's small enough to fit in there. In this case, it wouldn't really be very readable, so probably wouldn't want to do that, but that is another option that you have. Let's put that back. All right, another thing that I can do after the fact is I can insert rows or columns. So let's just say that I realize now that I wanted to have a column for taxes. And I don't want that column to be here at the end. I don't want it to be in G. I wanted the taxes column to be right after expenses. Okay. So I can just select a column, and right over here I have insert and delete. If I click on the arrow to the right of insert, I can say I want to insert columns, or I can just click the button itself and it'll guess that's what I want. And you'll see it moved profit to the right and put a blank column for me there. So I can now write taxes. And I could do the same thing with rows. If I were to select that and do insert, it would pop that down and I'd have a new row available to use right in between those two. Well, let's say later I'm like, oh, I don't actually need that taxes one. I'm going to select F again, And this time I'm going to click delete. Now this is different. If I were to do clear, I would delete the contents of that column, but the column would still be there. I'd have a big blank column between expenses and profit. If I click this delete, it's going to actually just get rid of that column and pull profit back over to the left, kind of close the gap there, and be ready for me to use again. So that's another thing I can do, inserting those rows and columns. Now let's say, to demonstrate the last thing I wanted to show you in this video, I'm going to insert a new row up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just come up here and I'm going to say that I want to insert a row. Now, I want to have a title here. Let's say I want to have a title, but I want the title to be centered. And I can't really do that. It's 6 cells across, so it's either going to be in C, which is to the left, or D, which is to the right. Well, I can merge these cells. I can select C and D, and then come up here and click this button that says merge. And these now become one cell. So now, if I typed, it would just fill that one cell. And I can do that for any amount of cells. I could come and click all these cells here, and I can merge them. And now you can see that's just one huge cell there in the middle of it. So that's a few ways that I can adjust the actual worksheet itself to make changes that I need to and work well with my data when I'm in the middle of making things. So you don't need to have it all laid out exactly right from the beginning. It's very flexible as you move forward.